When I cracked open my front door that Wednesday morning, what I saw made me question reality, or at least my grip on it. There she was, Vivian Banks, the self-appointed queen of our suburban HOA, lounging in a glitter-pink golf cart parked squarely in my driveway. A blender roared beside her on a folding table stocked with pamphlets, a Bluetooth speaker blared yacht rock, and a laminated sign hung from her cart, Viv's Lounge VIP only. The smell of tequila hit me before I even stepped outside. It was 8:47 a.m. I stood there in my slacks and pressed shirt, holding a coffee in one hand and a folder of printed resumes in the other, trying to process what I was seeing. My carmy only way to get to the job interview that could change everything for me was completely boxed in. The cart was parked so snug against my bumper I couldn't even open the driver's side door. "Good morning," Vivian called, raising her plastic cup in a lazy salute. I forced a polite smile. "Vivian, could you please move your cart? I've got a job interview this morning. I need to leave in 15 minutes. She sipped her margarita and gave me the kind of look a cat gives a laser pointer. "Some of us have real responsibilities, Carter. Maybe next time try getting a job that doesn't depend on parking space." I blinked. "You're parked in my driveway. It's a shared access easement," she replied breezily, gesturing vaguely toward the sidewalk. "It's community property. Read your bylaws." Then she adjusted the umbrella on her cart, smoothed her sash. Yes, she wore a sash that said HOA President in sequins, and went back to chatting with two of her brunch buddies who had arrived carrying scones. I stood there stunned. And then I turned around and walked back inside before I said something I'd regret. I tried the tow company first. They told me they couldn't remove a vehicle from shared access property without HOA approval. I called the police. They said it was a civil matter. Parking enforcement? Same story. I was boxed in by a golf cart and legally powerless to do anything about it. I called the office where I had my interview and apologized profusely. The receptionist was understanding, but I could hear it in her voice. My shot was probably gone. "We'll see what we can do," she said gently. I sat down at my kitchen table, seething. Outside, the blender purred again. A song from Kenny Loggins floated through the window. By noon, the party had grown. A couple of Vivian's friends, other members of the HOA board, showed up in sun hats and beach chairs. Someone brought pastries. I peeked out the blinds and saw Vivian miming a flapping mouth with her hand while pointing toward my house. They were laughing at me. By Friday, her cart was parked deeper into my driveway. She had added lawn chairs, tiki torches, even a portable umbrella stand. She called it Community Engagement Hour. I documented everything. Photos, timestamps, videos. I even measured how far the cart extended into my driveway. I filed a formal complaint with the HOA. Vivian, of course, was head of compliance. She lost the paperwork. I asked neighbors if they'd had similar experiences. Most smiled awkwardly and said, "That's just Viv." One older guy, Tom, whispered, "Son, she once fined me $100 for leaving my trash bin out past 6 a.m. on collection day. You won't win against her." I walked back home with a storm brewing in my chest. It wasn't just that she'd inconvenienced me. It was the smugness, the certainty that she could do whatever she wanted. That night, I couldn't sleep. And sometime around 2 a.m., as I replayed every smirk and condescending remark in my head, I had an idea. See, Vivian never once asked what I do for a living. I'm a logistics strategist. I design transportation routes and solve impossible equipment movement challenges for industrial clients. I've coordinated crane lifts on rooftops, navigated wind turbines through mountain passes, and orchestrated the relocation of a 5-ton MRI machine through a 1920s building without damaging a single tile. Vivian thought her cart made her untouchable. She didn't realize she'd just parked her throne in the driveway of a man who moves mountains for a living. By Sunday, I had called in a few favors, and not just small ones. These were calls that made even grizzled crane operators pause and go, "You want to do what?" I laid it out for them. Precision lift, no damage, all permits in order, full legality. Visibility was key. The crew was scheduled for Wednesday. Vivian, of course, kept hosting her morning brunch briefings from the same spot every day. She was nothing if not predictable. On Monday, she handed out flyers accusing me of non-compliant lawn decor and hostile eye contact. I didn't even flinch. Just waved and smiled. On Tuesday, I placed 3 small utility flags at the edges of my driveway markings for the crane operator. Vivian noticed them and shifted her cart slightly inward, assuming it was city work. She parked her cart in the exact spot I needed her to. Wednesday morning, D-Day, at 9:03 a.m., right as Vivian started her blender, a massive crane truck rolled down our street like a beast from the sky. Rick, my guy, stepped out in full gear, clipboard in hand. He greeted me with a nod. Vivian stormed over. "What is this? You can't be here. This is a residential street." Rick smiled and handed her a document. City-permitted equipment relocation. Fully authorized. All legal. She whirled toward me, eyes bulging. "What are you doing?" I sipped my coffee and shrugged. "Just clearing my driveway, Viv. Your cart's not a registered vehicle. Per city code, it qualifies as equipment. It's been here over 72 hours. She started screeching, but it was too late. Rick's team had already placed cones, attached rigging straps, and begun the lift. The crowd started gathering, neighbors with phones, kids with scooters, and a couple of dog walkers who had clearly just wanted a normal Wednesday. And then, slowly, gloriously, Vivian's pink glitter cart began to rise, up into the air. 10 feet. 20. She screamed. "Where are you taking it? You can't just. The cart cost me $7,000. I pointed at her house. She followed my gaze. And for the first time in all the years I'd known her, Vivian Banks went completely silent. The crane operator maneuvered with pinpoint precision. The cart floated gently over the roof of her HOA absurd, sparkling balloon and descended onto the flat portion of her roof that had once been designated for solar panels, which naturally she'd banned for being too modern. The cart touched down like a dream. The street erupted in applause. "Vivian?" She collapsed into a lawn chair, sputtering threats and curses, but no one stopped to listen. Not even Officer Grant, who arrived minutes later and reviewed the permits. "It's all legal, ma'am," he said. "Don't want it on your roof? Don't park it in someone else's driveway." That night, Vivian printed furious flyers and stuffed them in every mailbox, accusing me of neighborhood terrorism and moral sabotage. Someone taped one of them back on her own door with a sticky note, "Please remove your cart from the sky." By Friday, the local news caught wind of the story. A perky anchor delivered a live segment in front of Vivian's house. "It's not every day a golf cart becomes rooftop art, but residents here say it's long overdue justice." I watched the piece with popcorn. Vivian, unsurprisingly, did not appear on camera. The HOA board held a meeting the following week. Half the members didn't show up. The other half voted to suspend Vivian's authority pending review. Marlene, the soft-spoken vice president, finally spoke up. "You've turned the HOA into a circus, Viv. And now you're mad that the animals started laughing back." After the meeting, neighbors approached me quietly, offering thanks. Cookies. Cards. One guy handed me a gift card to Lowe's. The cart stayed on the roof. Someone added string lights. And every time I looked at it, I smiled, not just because I'd won, but because I hadn't shouted, threatened, or stooped to her level. I'd simply outmaneuvered her. Vivian eventually tried forming a new organization, the Neighborhood Order and Renewal Department, or NORD. She printed fake citations and sent them under her own name. When I received mine, accusing me of aerial aggression, I laughed until I cried. Her final downfall came during a backyard reorientation meeting. She hosted beneath a banner that said, "Command, Control, Community." 20 people showed up. I attended front row. Midway through her speech accusing me of terrorism and inciting rebellion, I stood up and handed out copies of old emails, her threatening a neighbor for planting unapproved flowers, measuring bird baths, reporting a cat for excessive staring. The room turned. Marlene took the mic and said, "This ends now." The applause that followed was thunderous. Vivian resigned that night. Within 2 weeks, she listed her home for sale and left town. Quietly, without fanfare. The cart was eventually removed by the new homeowner, a sweet young couple, who asked me to help with their remodel and joked, "We promise not to park anything on your roof." The HOA was restructured. No more single tyrants. Rotating board members. Transparency. We held a block party cart fest. There were pink cupcakes. A bounce house. T-shirts with a golf cart silhouette and the words "Free the driveways." And me? I landed a new client off the publicity. They said, "Anyone who can pull that off and keep it legal? That's the guy we want managing our logistics." The job interview I missed didn't matter anymore. Because what started as a petty HOA standoff became a local legend. A ridiculous, glittery symbol of resistance, sitting proudly on a roof and in the hearts of every neighbor who'd ever felt powerless until someone finally said, "No more." And every time I sip my morning coffee and see a golf cart roll past my street, I smile. They'll never know. But I will. For oh,